Welcome to another episode of 7 Minutes. I am Chris Wright with my co-host, Beverly Swim. On this episode, we are talking to Joanne Russell. She's the owner and CEO of the Mortgage Place, Inc. in Clifton Park, New York. She's been a mortgage loan originator for well over 30 years. She's licensed in multiple states. And Joanne will discuss her core values, how she's been able to, manage the volatile environment of real estate, as well as being able to, maintain a business with professionalism and integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Joanne Russell. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of 7 Minutes. Today, our guest is Joanne Russell. She's the CEO, president of the Mortgage Place, Inc. And of course, you get mortgages there. So
right.
not hard to explain. And I've known Joanne quite a few years in my real estate career. We bumped into each other. We've met for coffee. And now, I have my family member. My wife works with her. And I found you so fascinating in how you do business. Anytime I mention your name to people, do you know Joanne Russell? They have nothing but kind words to say. So I want you to
wonderful.
know
that. Fabulous.
So you made quite the impression. So I'm going to go to Beverly, and Beverly, do your thing.
Well, and congrats on being able to do loans in both New York and Florida. That's outstanding.
Thank you.
Especially, did you find that a lot of people moved from New York to Florida or bought a second home in the past couple of years?
It's amazing how many people are going that way. I mean, obviously, during the pandemic, a lot of people went to places where they could work remotely, and why not work where there's sunshine 90% of the time?
Absolutely. It'd much better be out on your balcony in Florida than, cooped up inside in New York. Totally understand that during the winter.
Mm-hmm.
So, it is said that many successes come from a lot of different failures. So does this statement fit you?
Well, I don't know if I would say failures or if I would just say experiences. So, whether it's a relationship that didn't go the way you wanted, or if you worked for someone who wasn't on the same page as you take those experiences and you build on it. So if you worked for an employer that you didn't necessarily like, you didn't like their business model, that would be a way for you to learn how not to run your business. And then, of course, you have your other people that you worked for that were kind of a mentor to you so that you could grow your business based off of what you learned from them.
That's awesome that you had people that you were able to learn from and get mentoring from. Have you been a mentor? You probably have staff, so you're probably mentor to them.
Yeah. I'm a mentor to them. I think I'm a mentor to some of the younger people in my family. As far as like a very, structured role as a mentor, I haven't done that, but I'm certainly looking forward to that in the next stages of my life.
Is that right?
Yeah. Giving back.
Yes, giving back.
Mm-hmm.
What has surprised you most in life or in your business?
I'd have to say it's technology. It is just leaps and bounds. It's so different from when I first started in this business. When I first got into the business, we would order our credit reports and we would have to wait for a courier to come and bring them, in a sealed envelope. And now I'm running credit reports while I'm talking to somebody on the phone and they're there in seconds. So the technology has really changed the way we've done business.
Gosh, I guess so. You've been a loan originator, I think, for 26 years. Is that right?
Actually, a little longer.
Yeah.
A little longer.
Sorry about that.
A little bit longer. No, I think maybe, yeah. But about 32 years now.
Is that consistent? You've been doing it all along?
Yep. I've been in the mortgage business all along. I got into the business by accident right after college, and I just went from there.
And she is Beverly, she is so smooth. Like you probably go into like a little closet and then get angry and scream, but you're about every situation. You're like, no, that's okay. We'll get through it. It's like, you just ride the wave. And I do in your business, it can be so frustrating day to day. Clients and customers don't always do the right things. They don't do the things you ask. Sometimes real estate agents want to call and yell at you and blame you for everything that's going wrong. And you still just like, No big deal. We'll get through it. How did you do that?
I do have the yelling closet. I do have that.
You have to, right?
Yeah. So, sometimes you have to take a breather,
Mm-hmm.
walk away from the phone, walk away from your desk, and regroup a little bit before you take a call that might be challenging. Luckily for us, I mean, we're pretty on top of things. So we really don't have people upset with us because of a process that we've done. It's usually a situation, whether it's a title report or a low appraisal, something that's really not within our control, but we try to manage it the best we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's essentially. So, yeah. And then, so what I wanted to ask you, how did you, well, you worked for a broker in the past,
Yeah.
and then you started your own company. Tell me about that process. People would like to know how you start your own business in your field.
Sure. So I got into the business, like I said, kind of by accident. My sister was actually a real estate broker, and she said, I got this great summer job for you. You take loans, you hand them in, and the bank approves them, which is kind of the short version of what we do.
Right.
But I worked for a little mortgage broker in Schenectady when I first got out of college, and then I worked for another broker, two other brokers where, they didn't run their business like I would run their business, or run my business. So I opened up a mortgage brokerage with a partner of mine, and we had a very successful run for 15 years. And when the model changed in 2008, our model changed, business changed. So he went in a different direction, and I started the mortgage place here with a few staff members.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
That was a difficult time, and you made it through.
Yes, it was. Yeah, we saw a lot of people leave the business. From our point of view, I really never did a lot of subprime loans. As a matter of fact, I don't think I wrote any. More of the alternate A type products still being sold to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So I never really had an appetite for it, and I'm glad I didn't.
Mm.
Yeah, you were wise,
unlike
many others around.
Yeah.
So you are probably pulled in a lot of different directions: family, staff, realtors, processing. I mean, you have a lot going on. How do you manage your day?
I am a list maker.
Is that right?
Another list maker.
A list maker. I love a good list. So I keep lists at home, and I keep lists at work. Sometimes I do them electronically, and I'll keep them right on my calendar. I use Microsoft Outlook, and I just plug through each one, and I prioritize them, obviously, what's more important. And sometimes you have to let things go. Some things that you think might have been important, you're like, you know what? I'm going to have to either delegate that, or that's just not going to happen, So that's really how I manage my day, my life, my week, is by making lists and just checking them off.
Awesome.
Are you a good delegator?
I could be better delegator. I'm a little bit of a control freak. So sometimes I do retain a little bit more than I need to. But everybody's a work in progress, right? So I'm always willing to learn.
I want to touch on the control freak part, because your business is so regulated and it's so easy to get in trouble. Is that why, or is that just your personality?
It's a little of both,
Okay.
So it is my personality. I definitely like to have management over even some of the details of how things go, how people are spoken to, how we communicate with our customers, how we talk to our lenders. But the other part is certainly the regulation part. We're highly regulated. There's so much that we have to be in touch with and be careful about in order to protect not only people's privacy, their financial privacy, but cybersecurity and, locking your office. So all of those things are important in our day-to-day tasks. So I guess, that does play a role in my control freakishness.
It's weird in the real estate world. There's broker owners who can have as 35 to 300 agents out there working under their umbrella, having no idea what they're doing. So that has to be pretty scary if you were to, be a broker owner yourself, and you have all these people all over the place working under your name, kind of worrying about what's happening,
Yeah. But that's why we kind of keep it small,
Yeah.
and New York is definitely more stringent than some other states. I mean, if you go to California, there's mortgage brokers who have a lot of people working for them. You just really don't see that much in New York. There are some bigger brokers, but for me, keeping it a little on the smaller side where I know everybody and they can come to me directly to ask questions, that's very, very important because I know that, where our license is protected and they're doing the right thing by the customer too.
Do you have any tips for people who might want to look at a second home in Florida?
Yeah. I mean, second home purchases are a lot different now than they were, a year or two ago. So the guidelines are a little more, are a little stricter. But one of the big things you want to do is make sure that you have a good realtor beside you. The thing in Florida is there are a lot of different condos, a lot of different condo requirements, so much different than New York. So you really need to have somebody like us who knows the financing in Florida, and you need to partner up with a great realtor who knows the communities, what's allowed and what's not allowed. In New York, it's very common to have attorneys, not so much in Florida. So you really need to have a good understanding of the contract that you're entering. And like I said, every homeowners association is so very different. So it's really important to have somebody who's got the knowledge of that.
Yeah, some of those HOA rules and fees,
Mm-hmm.
it's really difficult.
Yeah. And then there's, you have a master homeowners association, and then you have many little associations many times within there. So you are bound by the master association, but then you also have to pay attention to your homeowners own association that's within your community that you're purchasing in.
Do you think it would be wiser to do a cash out refi here if they've got a lot of equity in their home here and then pay cash down there?
Yeah, that's certainly an option to do financing. It really, everybody's situation is so different, so leveraging your house here may not be a wise idea if you want to kind of spread the risk between both properties. But what some people are doing, is they are putting in cash offers. And if you can get your financing before you're closing, then you can put your financing in. And if not, you pay for cash and you do what's called a delayed financing, where you cash out of your property right after you purchase it.
What's the best piece of advice you would give to a new person wanting to get into your industry?
Be educated. Really, really. I mean, that's really what you have to do. You have to hit the books. So when you go to get your license in New York or any other state for that matter, you don't learn all the practical things that you need to learn in order to actually conduct business. So once you pass your test, which is a very difficult test, the MLO test is hard. Once you pass that, that doesn't mean that you know what you need to know in order to go out and actually communicate and work with borrowers. So take any type of education that you can, work with somebody who's been in the business for a long time so that you can listen to them and learn from them. And there is a plethora of learning materials out there, a lot of things online that you can do. And if you're working with a broker, we're able to have our lenders partner with us and help educate our originators here. So that's always a good resource too.
Education. Very important.
Education, absolutely. And it's every day, just like your industry, everything changes, on a regular basis. The guidelines change almost daily, whether it be something minute or something pretty major.
You've seen a lot of changes in the economy over your 30 years, and you stuck with it. Has there ever been a time where you thought, you know what, maybe I need to get out of this industry and do something else?
Yeah, I have to tell you, 2008, 2009 was pretty scary, but I also know that this is something that, that I love doing. And so I weathered out the storm, but it was scary because, people are losing their houses and, that type of economy was self-created by not just mortgage brokers, but the whole economy, Wall Street, big banks. That was a scary time.
Interesting.
Yeah. Do you have any life hacks that you use that some people may not know about?
Geez, I don't know. Like I told you, I love my lists, so that's a big hack. But one of the things I've actually just started doing was recording some processes that we do either at home or here, recording it and sharing it so that we can share that with our employees here. So if we're ordering an appraisal, we can record it, show the processes of doing that, and then we can share it with the staff so everybody can share in learning that task.
And that way everybody's on the same page too.
Yep, exactly.
Nice. So are you a reader? Do you have books that you would recommend to people?
I have to say that I love audiobooks. And that's because I'm a multitasker. I love to listen to podcasts and books while I'm, exercising or walking or doing laundry or cooking, things that, require muscle memory. I don't really have to think about it too much. So I've listened to a lot of books. I don't listen to a lot of like self-help books because I read so much material over the course of my day I like to use my audiobooks as relaxation. But I have read in the past, Integrity Selling. It's an older book. It's 87, I think, 1987. I think I took I took a course in there, and that's a really, really good book for somebody who wants to, learn how to be in sales without being salesy.
Right.
So that's a really good book. The Things They Carried was very moving. I read the audio book. That's very, very, very good.
It's called The Things I Carried.
The Things They Carried.
The Things They Carried. And what is the premise on that?
Vietnam.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah. You should listen to that. As a veteran, I think you would really find it moving. And then I listened to like a historical fiction. I listened to biographies. So I liked Wolf's Hall by it's about Henry VIII and that whole era. So that's
yeah. I like that era actually.
Yeah.
The Tudors. That was one of my favorite trash series, I should say. It was a really good show.
Yeah. Some of the books that I read are not quite as trashy as the Tudors. Some of them are just really just based on history.
Yeah. Would you call yourself a mentor? Are you or a coach?
Well, I think I coach, the people that are here. I want to see them succeed. I certainly want to see my children succeed in life, so I'm a coach to them on a daily basis, I think. But, I think, later in my life, I think I want to try to give back by doing, something, empowering women to be entrepreneurs.
Awesome. That is great. We just talked to someone about women being successful in business. Yeah. And I think that's very, very important that there are examples out there that you can do it, particularly if you're a mother, and a wife or whatever, that, you can do it all.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about balance.
If you could go back and give 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would probably tell my 18-year-old self to just stick with what you think is right, and follow your heart. When I was 18, I was pushed into going into the engineering field, as being in engineering, computer sciences, and I did that because I felt a little pressure to do that, and it wasn't right for me. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in business, so I took that route for a little while, and then I got back to doing what I wanted to do, and I went to school for business. And
awesome. Well, as you know, to our last question, I always ask all of our guests, what's next for Joanne?
Well, I want to develop Florida. Right. So I want to develop that area. And then, I think I want to explore, doing some education in my field. I'd really like to do that.
With you being the instructor?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, I know that you have a nice following out there, so people will enjoy the show with you on it. Do you have any questions for us or at all?
I think it's good. Thank you for doing this. This is great.
Yeah, everyone's saying that. We love doing it.
Yeah. Right. I look forward to seeing what you're going to do next year too.
Yeah, you know me. Always thinking, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, Joanne, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate you. You have a good night, and thanks for giving us your time.